Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. In today's video we're going to be reviewing the new Zendo palette from NATASHA DENONA. This one just arrived today and I cannot wait to start playing with it. In this video I did 3 looks and I compared a lot of these shades to some of the other shades in my other NATASHA DENONA palette so that I could show you guys the similarities and difference between them. I wanted to make sure I did at least 3 looks in this video so that I could truly form an opinion on what I think about these shades, so that I can get to use a lot of the shades that come in the palette, and I cannot wait to share my thoughts with you guys. If you guys are excited for the video, don't forget to please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, my name is Patty and I would love it if you were here to stay, so please subscribe before you leave. Now let's go ahead and get started. This was a little bit of a surprise launch from NATASHA DENONA. I wasn't fully expecting it. I feel like it was announced and released so quickly and now it's here in my hands and I cannot wait to play. One of the things I love about this palette is the really beautiful contrast between the peachy warm shades and the teal greenish cool tones on the right side. And I feel like when I did my looks I wasn't as adventurous as I could be combining the two, even though I did combine them for at least 2 out of the 3 looks. But I feel like for the 5 looks 1 palette video, I could be a little bit more adventurous at making those shades mix together and creating more different looks. Still, the looks that I came up with today I thought were beautiful. The second one I did, which I cannot wait for you guys to see, I loved. And let me go ahead and show you guys how these shades swatched. Here are the swatches of the Zendo palette. We have the colors Mindful, Luster, Balance, Flow, Mantra, Aura, Vigor, which this one right here didn't feel as smooth as the rest of the shades. It felt kind of like a little bit more on the dry side. Then we have Relief, Equilibrium, which is a beautiful dark shade. We have the color Breath, Sense, Tranquil, Calm, Yama, which is a beautiful duochrome shade, and lastly the color Zeal. So these are all of the shades right over here. We have some mattes, some creams, some shimmers, some duochrome shades, and I cannot wait to try all of these shades on and see how we can combine them to create some beautiful NATASHA DENONA looks. From the swatches, I realized that a lot of these shades are NATASHA's Creamy Matte formula, which I personally love. I love the Metropolis palette and all of that type of shades that are in there. And every time she puts a Creamy Matte in a palette, I end up really liking the formula. For some reason, I find it easy to build, easy to blend, easy to combine with the dry matte shades in her palette. So I have absolutely 0 problems with this palette having a ton of those. I cannot wait to play and mix and combine them with one another. I love that those shades are very buildable, so they can look as dark as they look in the pan, or you can truly sheer them out a lot and mix them with the other shades in the palette. And then while I was doing my first look, I realized that there's not necessarily an inner corner super bright highlighty shade in this palette, which I think it's a little bit sad, but I can live without it. I have enough inner corner shades in other palettes in my collection, so I'll be fine, I'll survive, okay? Besides that, something else that I feel like I've personally been missing from NATASHA DENONA launches lately is her truly shimmery, crystallized type of shades. The type of shades that come in the gold palette from NATASHA that are like spectacularly glittery. I haven't seen her put shades like that in any of her latest launches, and I feel like I wish in the future for more of those very glimmery shades. I die for those. However, the shimmers and duochromes in this palette are absolutely stunningly beautiful and I have no complaints about them. I just like glitter in my life, so I hope that in the future she releases palettes that have at least a couple of like more glittery shades. So those are all my first impressions on the swatches and the combination of colors that come in this palette. Now let's go ahead and get into the eye looks. I'm going to start the first look with the color Relief, and I have it on my REPHR number 16 brush, and I'm going to make this my crease slash transition color. So I am doing windshield wiper motions on my crease with my number 16 brush, depositing the color all around that crease area first. And after the color is in place with my same number 16 brush, I'm going to diffuse it upwards. So I'm going to just back and forth run my brush through the edges, extending the color upwards. This color Relief is a really beautiful peachy shade. To deepen this up with my REPHR number 1 brush, I grabbed the color Mindful, which is one of her creamy shades, and I'm running it over the outer V of the eye and ever so slightly start blending it into that crease color. A little bit more of that color Mindful, and I'm building up the depth on the outer corner of the eye. And with the tip of my number 1 brush and that same color, I'm going to run it through my under eyes, like halfway in on the under eye area. I'm going to use the color Tranquil with my finger and pat it on my eyelid from the center of the eye, bringing it inwards. And with the color Yama, I'm going to go right in the center of the eyelid. And this is just going to add a little bit of extra dimension to it. Okay, yeah, that looks really pretty. I like it. I'm back and I went ahead and put concealer on. Back with the tip of my number 1 brush and the color Mindful, I'm just going to touch it up right here on the outer corner, just in case I rubbed a little bit of it off with the concealer. And with my REPHR number 14 brush and the color Calm, I'm going to blend it out and all the way to my tear duct area. And make sure you tie it at the end right here. Just back and forth with my number 14 brush, which is a very small blending brush. I'm going to use the color Tranquil on my number 13 and add it to the inner corner of my eye as well. I just realized this palette doesn't really have a highlighter color per se, so I'm just going to use Tranquil on my inner corner. Okay, and just like that, this is my first look with the Zendo palette. I'm going to just go ahead and put on some mascara and show you guys what that looks like. Okay, I went ahead and put on some mascara and lashes, and I also did my Fake Awake eyeliner from Tarte in the waterline. And this right here is my final first look with the Zendo palette. It's a really nice spring summer soft look. You can wear this anywhere, and I really love the way that this one turned out. So let's go ahead and keep playing with this palette. To start the second look, I'm going to use the color Breath on my REPHR number 15 brush, and this is going to be kind of like a transition shade for me on the crease of the eye. So I'm going to just back and forth build it on the crease. I had to go back and grab more because I didn't realize this was a creamy shade and I had grabbed very little of it. So I'm patting and blending it right on the crease of the eye. That looks really nice and pigmented for as light of a shade as that color is. Next, I'm going to go in with the color Mantra on a different blending brush. This one's the REPHR number 27. And I'm going to blend it into that first shade and run it across the crease of my eye. This is also a creamy shade, so you guys can see how easily the cream shades combine with one another. And I'm going to go ahead and run it all the way to the inner third of the eye right here. And then I'm going to grab the color Equilibrium with my finger, and I'm going to put it right on my eyelid. That shade Equilibrium is absolutely stunning. I love the way this is coming out. Let me go ahead and put on concealer underneath my eye, and I'll be right back to finish this look up. I'm back. I went ahead and put on concealer underneath my eyes, and I also did a blue eyeliner in my waterline. This one is from Makeup Forever in the color Endless Blue 200. So for my under eye, I'm going to grab the color Mantra on my REPHR number 26 brush, and I'm going to blend it all the way underneath my lower lash line, just back and forth with my brush. And then with that same brush, I grabbed the color Breath, and I'm going to smoke it out a little further. Okay, so this is what my second look is turning out to be, and I honestly really love this much more than I expected. I wish this one would have been my third look so that I could wear it in the intro and the outro, because I'm obsessed. I cannot wait to do this look again some other time. For my inner corner, I'm going to use a little bit of the color Flow, and I'm tapping it in with my finger. Oh yeah, that is perfect right there. I love it. Let me put on mascara and lashes and show you the final second look. Okay, I'm back with some mascara and lashes on, and this is the final second look. I'm obsessed with the way that this one came out. I absolutely love it. I think it definitely complements my eyes really well because it's kind of like the same color as my eyeballs. And I love how the cream shadows work in this palette. The way that the two creams combined, and it gave me that really nice gradient look with such ease too. Like, it was very easy to blend those colors into one another. And this teal shimmer shade, I knew I was going to love as soon as I swatched it. This was my favorite color to swatch from this palette. So this right here is a 10 out of 10 for me. I absolutely love the way that this one came out. So let's go ahead and do the third and final look for this video. A 5 looks 1 palette is coming, but today we are going to do 3 so that I can also do some swatch comparisons and see what my overall first opinion on the Zendo palette is. Okay, to start the third and last look, I'm getting the color Calm, and I have my REPHR number 15 brush. Now, this is a creamy shade in the palette, so you have to really kind of get your brush in there, you know, get a lot of it, and then it'll be super easy to blend it out. You just have to make sure you get a good amount of that shade so that you don't have to go back and like build it a lot, because the creamy shades don't get picked up as easily as the more dry matte shades, right? So that was the color Calm, super easily blended on the crease right there. And now with my REPHR number 1, I grabbed the color Balance, and I'm going to stamp it on the outer corner of the eye and start blending it into my crease, just back and forth, swiping the shade. I think I'm going to do a little bit on the inner corner as well, and just make them meet in the middle. Okay, just like this. With my same number 1 brush, I'm grabbing a little bit of the color Mindful, and I'm going to just kind of stamp it on this outer V of the eye back here, maybe a little in the center as well, just to darken things up a little tiny bit more. And this is another one of those creamy shades, so with this one, it was very easy for things to blend. Now that I have all my matte shades on, I'm grabbing the color Sense with my finger, and I'm just going to tap it right here in the center of my eyelid, all the way to the crease area. And that is another beautiful shimmer shade that this palette has. I love that color Sense. Next, I'm grabbing the color Llama, and I'm going to tap it right over top, right in the center of the eyelid, to bring a little bit of light to the center of my eyelid here. And that color has a beautiful green shift to it. For the under eye, I have my brush number 26 and a little bit of the color Vigor on the tip of it, and I'm going to back and forth swipe that color right under my lower lash line. And then with my REPHR number 13 and the color Calm, I'm going to blend that out back and forth with that small blending brush. In my waterline, I have a Chanel eyeliner in 944, and I'm grabbing a little bit more of that color Llama on my pinky finger, and I'm going to put it right here in the inner corner of the eye. Alright, so this is the third look before mascara or lashes. Let me do some of that and be right back to show you the final result. Okay, I'm back, mascara and lashes on, and this is the final third look right over here. I love the shimmers that I have in the center of my eyelid. The color Llama is such a nice duochrome shade, and I like that it works for the inner corner of the eye as well, since this palette doesn't really have a super bright inner corner color. So yeah, this is the third look. Let me know from 1 through 3 which one was your guys' favorite. My favorite was definitely look number 2. Let's get on with some comparisons and swatches, and I figured what better place to start than the mini Zendo palette. So this is what these two look like right here, and aside from the packaging being the same color, right, I don't really see any similarities in the shades, to be honest with you. I guess we can compare the color Tranquil to this one here. This one is the shade Daz from the mini Zendo palette. This is Tranquil and Daz. They're actually a little bit more similar than I initially thought, but Tranquil has much more of a peachy pinky vibe, while the color Daz from the mini Zendo has more gold in it. The other one I figured we can compare is the color Stripped, which is this one right in the center of the palette, with the color Flow from this one, and Llama. Although I can already tell you neither one of this is going to be very similar at all. So this is Stripped right here from the mini one, and then Flow and Llama. And this is what they look like right here. Just like I said, these are super different. Now let's go back to this color Llama for a second. I'm going to swatch it again, and I'm going to show you everything that I think is similar from other palettes that I have from NATASHA Denona. So for instance, from the Metropolis palette, I want to compare it with the shade Orium. And from the NATASHA Denona Gold palette, I want to compare it with this shade right here, which is called Chrome. So here are the shades, Llama, Orium, and Chrome. And you can see, even though they all have a little bit of a green shift to them, they're all different. Something else I wanted to compare was these colors right here with some of the colors from the Circo Loco palette, because I saw in some comments you guys thought these might be similar. I can tell you looking at them in the pans that I don't think so, but let's go ahead and swatch them and check. So I'm going to do Acrobat, Snow Cone, Flip, and Fontamime, and I'm just gonna swatch them right over here. And then we're going to grab Flow, Mantra, Equilibrium, and Breath. And these just have like a lot more green to them. So here are the ones from the Circo Loco palette, and here are the ones from the new Zendo palette. These are a lot more blue in my opinion. These have more of like some green shifts to them. I guess the ones that are the most similar are this shade here and this one from the Circo Loco palette, but this one has a lot more shine and like it's lighter and brighter than this one is. I had forgotten to turn the light down, but here are the shades side by side. This was definitely a comparison that was worth doing. The shades do have similar vibes, but they're not necessarily the same. These are more blue and these are more of a teal to green right here. Before I take them off of here, I'm also going to swatch this one and this one, which is Aurora and Python from the gold palette, because these are actual teal. So these might even be a little bit more similar maybe. These might be the worst swatches in history, but you can definitely see that the ones that do have similar hues are different finishes to the ones in the new Zendo palette. Let's keep comparing, and I wanted to show you these two here side by side. This top one is the Sunrise palette from NATASHA Denona, the bottom one is the Zendo palette, and as you can see there's not a lot of shades that have similarities between these two. These are a lot more pink and purple, while these are a lot peachier with one red, but it's like a true red color. So I'm not finding any shades between these two that have any similarities. Here's the Circo Loco palette, and besides the 4 shades that we already compared, there's nothing else similar in this one. From the bronze palette, maybe we can compare the color Suntan here with the color Balance. This is what they look like on my finger. And here are the swatches, so as you can see they have slightly different tones to them. Let's also compare it to Beach. So I dropped my bronze palette, some shades fell out of it, and now I can't figure out how to put it back together. But let's go ahead and finish these swatch comparisons and I will eventually figure that out. There was one more color I wanted to compare in these two, and that was the color Luster and the color Alloy. Let's also do True Bronze. I don't think any one of these fell. I think I'm saying the names right. So here is Luster, Alloy, and True Bronze. We can definitely argue that these two shades are super similar to one another. Let's go ahead and also compare Mindful to this one here, which I think is called Magma. I don't think that one is in the right place right now. Magma from the bronze palette is darker and a little bit redder, while this one is a little bit more of a bronzy yellow shade. From the gold palette, we already compared this duochrome shade to this duochrome shade, and we also compared these teals to these teals right over here. So besides those, I really don't see anything else that is super similar, because these brown shades have a lot more warmth in them than the ones in the gold palette. And then lastly, from the Metropolis palette, I feel like this is the one we could argue has the most similar vibes to the Zendo palette. However, I don't think any of the shades are exactly the same. Let's go ahead and compare Aura right over here with this shade. You can clearly see the difference between these two. We could do Zeal and this shade right over here. These two might actually be very similar. The one from the Metropolis palette has a bit more yellow green in it, while this one's more of a green cool tone shade. Let's do one last comparison. I'm going to compare Mindful up here with both of these shades from the Metropolis palette. This is Mantra from the Zendo palette, and then the two browns from Metropolis. Slightly different, but also I feel like if you mix those two together, you could probably get Mantra. Okay, so that was all the comparisons I could think of, and sometimes I feel silly doing those. So I truly hope that that helps some of you guys to see if you actually want to go for the new palette or not, seeing what you have in your collection and what shades are similar or not. Overall, I don't think this one is super similar to any of her other palettes. I would say Metropolis is the closest one, the one that has the most similar shades to this one. However, this color story is, in my opinion, very unique. And so far, I did really like every single look that I've done with this palette. I'm a little bit scared of the shade Vigor right here because I do feel like it's a little bit drier than the rest, but I haven't fully put that one to the test yet. Every other shade in this palette is beautiful, it's creamy, it's blendable, it's what you come to expect from Natasha Denona eyeshadows. So do I recommend this palette? Honestly, I do. I really like the performance of all of these shades. I feel like they're nice and unique, and I honestly have always liked Natasha Denona's creamy matte formula, and this palette has a lot of that and I like it. Now, I know some people do not like that formula from Natasha, so I feel like for those of you who don't like her creamy mattes, then I would definitely skip this one. But if you do like that formula of hers, then definitely go ahead and go for it. I truly hope that this video was helpful. Please comment down below which look was your favorite one. I'm still obsessing over that second look that I created. I love it and I cannot wait to recreate it in the future myself. Other than that, please let me know your thoughts on this new launch down in the comment section of this video. And if you are going to go ahead and you're thinking of picking up this Zendo palette, I would definitely really appreciate it if you guys use my link, which is going to be down in the description box. When you use any of my links, you are supporting my channel and it's truly very helpful. So I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe before you leave. A 5 looks 1 palette video with this Zendo palette is coming. So stay tuned and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!